So it's been fantastic to be a part of this research and to learn of the really interesting and significant findings. Of the survey respondents, a third had already been a victim of a data breach. Of those that were breached, the impact on them can be negative. We all understand how important our data is, but a compromise to our data can lead to negative impact on our lives. And 4 out of 5 of those that have been breached actually suffered some negative consequence.
Yeah, I think they got into one of my accounts and subsequently got into everything else. So I had to go around backtracking and, changing passwords for everything that I use.
My card details got hacked somehow and someone was spending loads of money. Luckily it was a credit card, so the company were able to get it all back, but yeah, it wasn't ideal. Still don't really know how it happened as well, and they don't know how it happened. So
yeah, I got an email saying that Equifax was hacked or whatever. I'm not sure. I tried to find out if I was between the people who got their information stolen, but I don't think I could know, to be honest. And that's also scary.
Of course, people will then trust online services to a different degree. And it's fantastic that in some societies, some nations, we see that there are still many people that trust the services. Of course, the question becomes, is that trust misplaced? We know that in parts of Europe and Australia, Germany, UK, France, Australia, that the level of trust in online services is much, much lower. And this is a concern because with such negative trust, will that lead to changes in behavior? The digital world is key to economic prosperity and better society. And if people have such a lack of trust, that may prohibit the benefits that we hope to see.
I'm not that concerned because I don't have nothing to hide. And if someone hacked into my account, I wouldn't really be worried.
I'm not worried about one company holding my personal information. I'm more worried about what happens when you combine all of the data around, that is collected everywhere. So
I worry about when they have your email and send you a lot of publicity and things like that, and you don't gonna use it.
It's interesting that we see that in different sectors, consumers have different levels of trust. Given the importance of finance and banking, it's heartening to see that 42% see that they can trust those institutions to look after their data effectively. But the converse is true of social networking. Of course, we've seen some major trust issues with social networks over recent years. And this might be the reason that we see that reflected in such a poor score for social media trust. However, it is worrying that governments are not seen right at the top of that trustworthy scale, in fact, seen at the opposite end. And that is something that will worry many governments, and I'm sure they'll have to think, how do they respond to that?
Government and finance, generally speaking. It seems to me that people rely on them because of their integrity, but not so much with Facebook and social media and things like that, which are more profit orientated. So I'm more concerned that they're going to try and use my data in some way I don't want.
I don't trust any of the social media companies to trust it, to manage my data properly. They're global, they're not really as accountable as they should be at the moment. So I worry about them not ensuring my privacy, leaking it to someone who shouldn't have it, and they put certain bits of information together and then they could steal all my money. That's the big thing for me. I don't want them stealing my money.
Any platform that you use, any service that you use, if you go through all the terms and conditions, they have access to a lot of your personal information. It's more of on the trust that the company is going to keep that secured and that it's not going to get out there. However, if there are data breaches, people can access a lot of your personal information, and it does make people feel concerned and unsafe at times.
I mentioned that some people will change their behaviors due to a lack of trust. And this survey has shown that those who have been breached, 1 in 5 of those will stop using the service. That obviously can have an impact on governments or on organizations, businesses that rely on digital communications and interactions with their consumers. But it may be that some move to other rival organizations or may withdraw completely from using that online service.
A big hack on a website called Ashley Madison. It's Canadian, I'm Canadian. It was for extramarital affairs, and they put it on the web. So, and people were, I guess say stupid, but we're naive enough to not use like a pseudonym or a Gmail address, and so anybody could search it. So it destroyed a lot of marriages and happiness.
That if you're a company, and also all these companies normally have a lot of money, so they have to spend also part of this money to have the best security, cyber security. So they have to invest.
I try not to use their services again, ever.
I would let them know. I would complain. I would tell them to close down my account, investigate it, look into it, try and give a rationale and reason for why it happened, and if possible to compensate me if that was required.
What I think is also important to understand from this survey is that consumers are starting to understand how important it is to have mandatory regulatory powers for data protection. More than half of the survey respondents felt that encryption should be made mandatory and multi-factor authentication. And this shows that while many organizations see multi-factor authentication as a barrier, it doesn't make things as easy for the consumers think it's really important, and they're willing to sacrifice that little bit of effort through multi-factor authentication to ensure their data is adequately protected.